name is Allie Belzer. I am a licensed professional counselor, a specialist in experiential education, and a clinical adventure therapist.
My name is Amanda Reedy, a licensed clinical social worker working as a mental health therapist. We believe therapy is a great tool for healing. However, we want to demystify what healing can look like, as in our experience, people care for themselves in creative, intuitive, and determined ways.
Each episode, we will get curious about healing that is outside traditional talk therapy and deconstruct how healing can be a practice that is innate to who we are. Just as singing is to birds and making honey is to bees, it's just what we do. Let's get it. Hi all, thanks for tuning in. This is Allie here. In this episode, me and Amanda will be debriefing my wedding, which was certainly the most sincere, earnest, and beautiful event of my life, and it might be egotistical to say maybe some of our guests' lives as well. It was magical to be surrounded by so many people who showed up 130% to engage in the weekend's activities and overall just dump love on me and my partner. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope as you're listening, you maybe feel like you were there.
I would love to hear like an outsider's perspective of the wedding, mainly because I love compliments, but also just like, I was so in it, and like, there was a lot of times where like I was so well held by like everyone that came, but I was like so in my body and with Sarah that like I actually wasn't super tuned in to everyone else's experience or like.
I mean, I also was not. I'm either
in it,
parenting while traveling and trying to navigate that and go with the flow while also knowing that the flow will ruin my life. It is just like this. I'm going with the flow, and it will cause extreme chaos.
And the flow is Hurricane Helene.
Yeah, it's like, oh, naps will be off, bedtimes will be late. No one's going to sleep at night.
Yeah.
Such is life, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't have a great outside perspective, but when you're in the moments that we're in it, it was the most beautiful experience. I literally feel like every single person's body at that wedding was coming home to a truth of like, oh, this is how we're meant to live. That's how I feel about your wedding.
Amanda.
Because it's not that it was a celebration of love. It was the living embodiment of everything that you believe in, which is ceremony and ritual, and earnestness is actually so valuable. And I think everyone was shocked about what it felt like to come home to that knowledge of we're meant to feel things, we're meant to do them together, we're meant to honor the things within us that want attention and thus intention. That's what it felt like on the outside.
Oh my God.
I listened to this other podcast, and they were talking a lot about earnestness and how, I'm kind of allergic to earnestness. Like, it gives them the ick.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, we have
that it's somehow embarrassing.
It's embarrassing to be earnest when I'm like, this is the highest commodity that we actually have. When people take time, and like, earnest doesn't have to be serious. No. That's what I think it's like. And I mean, people laughed so much at your wedding.
Yeah.
Everyone was like laughing and crying and like sharing and being so earnest that I was like, oh, this is actually how we're meant to live.
Oh my God.
When we downplay the truth of life, it's a disservice to us all. But also our culture is like, oh yeah, being earnest is kind of gross.
Well, I know I was lucky enough to come at this wedding from an experiential therapist perspective.
Yeah, let's also pause for a second because it wasn't just a wedding.
Right.
It was a 3-day experiential retreat.
Yeah. That was the hope.
And it was. It
Yeah.
really was. So you had an event Friday, which was a rehearsal dinner. Every single guest was invited, right?
Yeah. Anyone who wanted to go. Yeah.
Right. So intentional.
Yeah.
Share a little bit. What did you do on Friday? What was that like on your side?
Yeah. So I would just want to mention, we weren't going to have a Gather in Boise event at all. But we knew that people were flying in on Thursday.
We also forgot about Thursday.
Yeah.
It was a 4-day experiential retreat.
Well, and that was so funny because we didn't want to plan anything big. We wanted people to take care of themselves, but we also knew people probably wanted to see us and start their time here. So we just plopped ourselves down at this trio of beautiful establishments that serve, one serves ice cream, one serves coffee and beer, and one serves good food.
Yeah.
Just classic American grub.
Yeah.
And we just said, we'll be here from 6 to 10. And oh my gosh, so many people showed up. And I think that actually kicked it off for Friday, so that people had met each other, had eaten, shared a meal.
Me and Gretchen were tight.
Oh yeah.
We hung out a bunch.
Great. On Thursday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Best friend.
Every time I saw her, I'm like, Gretch?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Just panicked. I was worried that wasn't her name and I forgot it.
No, Gretchen.
Yeah, that's Sarah's aunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but people came to the rehearsal, had already kind of tested the water with each other. So I think people were just ready.
Yeah.
And then Friday was the biggest one where Sarah was the most anxious about it. I was the most excited because of the vulnerability that I was inviting.
Which was?
We had people get up and share stories that they remembered about us from our time with them. And at a wedding, it's so cool because you have everyone that you've loved dearly from all levels of life, all seasons of life, all ages. So you're not only inviting the people you love to come see you get married, you're inviting the past versions of yourself that they loved. So we wanted to provide examples of who we've been over time. And so we very specifically, it wasn't please come up and gush about us or tell us how much you love us. It was, do you have a sweet or funny story that kind of captures who the brides are? And people showed up.
Yeah.
It was so sweet I didn't expect people to just paint such a broad, beautiful picture of us separately, us together. And so that was the beginning. And then to end the night, I might just refer everyone, go listen to the Anthropocene Reviewed, which is a podcast where John Green, author of Fault in Our Stars, Looking for Alaska, very well worded man. He writes essays where he reviews just aspects of the Anthropocene, anything really. He's reviewed Canadian geese, he's reviewed cholera, and he has a special episode devoted to the song Auld Lang Syne. And Auld Lang Syne, if you don't know it, it's the one in any classic movie you've seen that has a New Year's Day or New Year's Eve celebration in it. It's the "For all the acquaintance be forgotten and all with unto rest." Okay. And in that essay, he talks about his dear friend and unfortunately past author, Amy Krauss Rosenthal, who often told this story about the soldiers in World War I. During the planned holiday ceasefires, soldiers would leave the trenches and gather and eat together, play sports together, sing. And there was just these moments of real human connection in the midst of the brutal hopelessness of war. And kind of in the monotony of war, a new version of Auld Lang Syne came out where rather than the lyrics, they said, we're here because we're here, because we're here, because we're here. And Amy Krauss thought that was just the most beautiful, honest version of that song. That, yes, it captured the hopelessness and monotony of war. And like everything about those words feels so earnest that we are here together and not alone. And that we're not just anywhere, we're here right now. And so at the wedding, I kind of shared this story and then asked everyone to sing that version of the song together, which I don't know if you've ever gotten 100 of your closest friends in a room and asked them to sing a song. There's usually some trepidation there. But I think Thursday and leading up to Friday, people were just, it was like they were primed.
Yeah.
And the response of like, yes, of course we will sing that song with you. And yeah, that hit so home of everyone singing together and with the invitation of like, since we are here together with this purpose, like let us be all here, all of us here, all of us now. And yeah, that was just day one.
Yeah. And it was perfect. I'll cry all over again.
Oh, I knew there would not be a single photo that I'm not crying in.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's okay to cry, you guys.
It's actually so invited. Like,
it's really good for you.
People love it when other people cry. There is something that immediately softens and breaks in us when we see another person cry. It's the quickest way to get from my core to your core is to see you crying and have it affect me. Because think about how wordless that is. It's just, it's a totally embodied connection.
Let me just tell you what happened in my body.
Yeah.
Because I have an interesting relationship with a part of me that cries so easily.
Sure. Tell me more.
I have real acceptance for her. And at the same time, I do want to banish her sometimes in certain contexts.
I understand completely. Yeah.
And I do meet her with the self-like part that says, you're good. I love you. Please go away. But the way that you described it, that the sensation in my throat where she lives just dropped to my heart. I felt it go. Of like, that is the quickest way from my soul to your soul.
Yeah.
Which I know that that's her role and her job. She is a little overactive.
Sure.
And once my system gets turned up a certain degree, it doesn't even matter what I'm talking about. If I'm talking about it in front of other people, it's like, it's very hard for me to speak without crying.
Yeah.
So, but she really liked when you said that.
I'm so
Which I often try to have her soften in my throat so I can still speak.
Yeah.
But still have the feeling. I've never really been able to do it. But she liked your words, and I was like a water slide down to my heart.
When I'm crying as a leader who's connecting with a process, it's a lot different for me.
Yeah.
Where I can like swallow it and it be kind of core-like because it's actually a source of power of like, I can lead someone.
Yeah.
Or I can lead a group of people to an experience with this feeling. Like, it's really good. And then there's versions where I cry as, I call it me being a client, where I'm just like fully cracked open and only meant to follow and experience something.
Yeah.
That cry, it's like right at the edge of your throat, and it is painful and it feels embarrassing and very vulnerable. And after that affinity course where I did a single pitch instructor course, which is like a certification to be able to read rock climbing trips. And I was surrounded by queer and trans people who are also involved in this sport that is very not queer or trans and very dominated by cis male agenda. And so I was a client in that scenario, and at the end we like debriefed what it was like to be learning something with other people like you. And let me tell you, when to share through that, like my voice 5 octaves higher than usual, like shaking. And
and what that was so important for you to actually feel.
Absolutely.
And back to the wedding, I feel like everyone let themselves cry.
Everyone let themselves cry. Everyone let themselves connect with other people.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a moment, Sarah and I mentioned this, that like at no point during dinner did we get like the clink, 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 like kiss, which we're so glad about.
I forgot that was a thing.
Because everyone was
so tuned
deeply connecting with each other, like at their tables. There was always chatter. Like, no one was silent ever.
Right. And then the toast.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it was day 2. So that was just a rehearsal, which I was like, wow, well, if that was the wedding,
we would have nailed it.
Everyone was already there. It was gorgeous. There were these lights up, and the weather was perfect. And then the next day, you guys led a hike.
Yeah. So we said, wake up with us. And we really wanted to share personal vows, but not during the ceremony. It just felt like way too much. So we copied a friend's wedding that actually Sarah officiated. They led a hike in the morning and kind of scampered away briefly at a view, and like they did their vows, and you could kind of see them in the distance, and that was really special to like watch. But so people felt involved. They like walked us to the place. So we copied that, and we got to the trailhead, and I gave everyone the task, again, experiential therapist, you're gonna participate in the wedding, to pretty please on the hike, grab a natural object that calls to you, and anything on the ground, stick, moss, a flower, using L&T principles of like, don't over harvest, don't take the only thing, obviously, but and then at the end of the hike, placing those objects kind of on an altar, and then me and Sarah would do our vows amongst the objects, and while people kind of and imbue those objects with an intention for us in our marriage. And we remembered the hike a lot less severe in elevation than it was.
It was a steep.
Yeah, it turns out it was an hour on a Stairmaster that 50 of our closest friends suffered through with us to get there. But me and Sarah were in matching white Carhartt overalls and white t-shirts, and we got to this vista and had everyone place the objects on the ground and give us a hug, and then kind of keep hiking and wait for us above, and they could look down on us if they wanted to.
But, and it just, when you set up the invitation for earnestness and intention, other people then feel that they can then add to it. So you didn't tell anyone to sing after the vows.
No.
Right. That was just like, we're doing this
because it is earnest and intentional and beautiful.
Right. So when they finished the vows, someone led, we're here because we're here because we're here because. And see, my voice won't really let me do it again. But it was so special to be like, oh, also we'll do this on our own once you create a space for it.
Yeah. It was the most beautiful moment of my life. Me and Sarah finished saying our vows to each other. I'm already like sobbing, right? Yeah. From that beautiful moment. Yeah. And then we're walking back up the hill to our loved ones who just hiked and suffered for us. And as we're walking up, 50 people break out in song of we're here because we're here because we're here. And I felt that in my whole body.
All of us did.
Yeah.
All of us. Yeah.
And so we were welcomed with a song.
Yeah.
After doing this beautiful thing. And then a friend who played Quidditch with Sarah, and this was obviously like an old school thing that they used to do.
Yeah.
After Michigan games was like a cinnamon roll hug.
Oh yeah,
And
I forgot about that.
It was so cute, where everyone links hands
and then you roll into each other.
Yeah, with Sarah and I in the middle, we like spiral into each other until it's like a 50-person hug.
Yeah.
And that wasn't me. Like, that wasn't...
No, that wasn't you saying, this is what we're going to do next, and this is how you participate. It's like, it's in us all to be like, this is what we could do in this moment if I just allow myself to be. To be a little bit vulnerable, to be a little bit earnest, to be a little bit cringy.
Yeah.
Because, like, it could be laughed at to do a 50-person hug.
Sure, yeah.
But when you're in the space, you'll be like, all of this is so worth it.
It feels so right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember this wedding reminded me of... There was an episode on my trip, my like long backpacking trip where I spent 40 days in the wilderness. That trip was when I first realized I call it belly laugh, where it's your whole body that's like racked with joy.
Yeah.
And you are laughing like loud and hard and deep.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I had never let myself belly laugh ever before.
Mm.
And after that trip, I'm like, oh, it's what I search for on a daily basis, is like that level of joy and release of being like fully able. And that's what the wedding felt like, is like, you can be totally ridiculous and loud and here, like, just do what your body knows feels right.
Yeah.
It was the most beautiful thing.
It was. And then the wedding itself, I was like, how are they going to make this just feel different from the rehearsal dinner? Because that felt like a perfect wedding where there was food and toast and song and, you know. Yeah. No, it was gorgeous. It was in the same location, but then a little bit to the side under this beautiful white tent. And oh my gosh, it looked so amazing. It was so beautiful. The food obviously was the best wedding food and possibly meal I've ever had in my life. And it was so good. Everything about it.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. When we were getting ready for the ceremony after the hike, I don't know why, because it did kind of feel like, well, it feels like we've been married 2 times now. The rehearsal dinner and then the hike, like both incredible, beautiful experiences. But for some reason, this one felt like really scary, the actual ceremony.
Yeah, you guys were scared.
We were super scared, super nervous. A lot of bathroom breaks. And
I was trying to tell Sarah, it's okay. The sphincter knows when it's game time.
Hers does not.
She doesn't trust it.
Yeah.
Did she poop during the ceremony?
No, it's true. And immediately, she was totally fine when she got out of the truck.
I told her to trust.
Yeah.
The sphincter knows.
Yeah.
The second you're on the clock, you're on the clock.
When it's game time.
It's game time.
Yeah.
It's going to test that clock a couple times.
Yeah. But it knows when to get tough, go blue.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're just like panicking a little bit. It's just like the waiting, the tension, because like your guests don't really see you until the wedding, because that's kind of like a special thing. And we crawled into the back of our truck to be driven down to where the ceremony is. And if you haven't done it, have all of your dearest and closest family and friends just like be in a beautiful field waiting for you somewhere. Like, highly recommend that. I think if I was more religious, that is what like the gates of heaven would look like. Of beautiful scenery in a very open place, and everyone I loved is just in the middle.
Wow, I actually exactly think that that's what heaven is.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And so, but we're like cramped in the back of our truck because the cab was too full of our parents. And we are both saying, we're both pretty anxious people. And when I'm like on the verge of panicking, I will repeat over and over the monologue to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Should I do it?
Obviously.
Long ago, the 4 nations lived together in harmony. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar, master of all 4 elements, could stop them. when the world needed him most, he vanished.
He did.
100 years passed. My brother and I discovered the new avatar, an airbender named Aang. And although he has a lot to learn, I believe Aang can save the world.
Let's pause really quick and say why that works.
It takes just enough mental energy to distract me from
the thought spiral of whatever.
From the thought spiral. And then, so you pair that with the body and the brain love repetitive things. It reminds us we're safe. Think of rocking a baby, swaying, the natural things that we do to self-pacify. So having that, and I've tried other like more therapeutically minded mantras where it's like, all that I need is within me now. And those feel patronizing in the moment where I'm just like, this just sucks. Like, I just have to get through it. And what has never failed me is the monologue to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Right. It's nostalgic and it's a little bit funny.
Yeah, it's a little funny. It does touch something that feels so safe and joyful. So it does have that therapeutic element.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. And then I'm telling Sarah, like, do yours. And hers is
the fight song to Michigan?
No.
Oh, okay.
Hers is the Law & Order SVU monologue. Dum-dum. Where, I don't know it as well. But so she's saying the Law & Order SVU. I'm saying Avatar. And we're just holding hands. Yeah. These crimes are considered specially vicious. And therefore require a special team known as the Special Victims Unit. These are their stories. Ba-bum.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know.
So we're holding hands, just like quoting the monologue to these, like being driven down, cramped into a field with all our friends. And
And then, it was just perfection. The ceremony itself was so amazing. Everything was so lovely. And then the reception was just beautiful. And I gave a toast. And public speaking is very, very hard for me.
Yeah.
I've also said this is the last toast I'll ever give. You know, I'm not intending to make new friends. Or to the point.
And all my friends are married.
Yeah, and I've had to give. This is my third toast, and I'm not going to give another one.
Yeah,
you know. So, but then I was like, should I get more friends because the compliments
you did so
are really nice, but it was very hard. And a lot of that wedding was me trying to write the toast in my head. Normally I would have done this like 3 weeks ago, but I just didn't. I couldn't do it in advance. It was just like every time I would try and write the toast, the first line would be like, I can't possibly give this toast. And that's where I was going to start. My first line was, hello, I can't possibly.
Hi, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah. But, just to have everybody just show up and love you. It was so cool.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a moment, we had a couple more intentional things like following the ceremony and stuff. We wrote letters to everyone who came and thank God, because now no one expects a thank you letter, which are boring compared to us proclaiming our love for you at the wedding.
Yeah. Also, I view not writing thank you letters as an act of resistance against patriarchy.
Go on.
Yeah. So I don't want to do them.
And doing that I don't want to do is capitalism.
No. Okay, here's really how I feel. Okay. One, especially if you're in a heterosexual relationship, that often is a task that falls to women, right? In general, for a baby shower, for a birthday present, for anything.
Yes.
The expectation is, one, there's a woman who decides, let me take notes for you and write who wrote what. And then you can write a thank you note for them. And I just want to break that cycle. When it's not my natural gifts to remember, like keep an address book, write things down, buy stamps, send them. And it's really, I think, negates the gift of the present itself. Because I hate writing thank you notes so much. I would rather not be given a gift if there's an expectation you're going to get a thank you note.
Amen. Yes.
So when I don't write thank you notes, because it's also like, if I don't do it, is anyone to pick up the task? No, then that tells me that
then it's patriarchy.
that it's patriarchy,
yeah.
and I'm going to buck against that.
Yeah.
Right? Because is my partner going to be like, don't worry, I'll write all the thank you notes? No.
Yeah.
He's not. And it also, is he going to feel anything about it? No. Which,
resist,
so
baby.
when I am like, okay, the hard part is it is a reflection on me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? People are going to say,
yeah,
oh, wow, she never wrote thank you notes for the stuff that we gave her for the wedding. That's the expectation. So I have to sit with the discomfort of it. Like, I'm fine if my husband's aunt is a little bit upset that she never got a thank you note.
As you should be.
And, I'm like, that's not my work.
Yeah.
So I'm going to set it down.
Yeah.
And I also write in every card, this gift comes with the gift of zero obligation for a thank you note.
That doubles.
And
the
I just say, I know you're grateful.
Yeah.
Love ya.
Okay.
I also don't want a thank you note. This is now trash.
Yeah.
And I don't like trash.
Trash.
And I also feel bad about throwing things away that have writing on them. Yeah. So in general, I'm kind of anti thank you notes. A lot of it is because I don't want to do it.
Yeah. But I'm so glad you found a way to justify that.
My parts are so justified in that I'm actually going to turn it into a feminist issue.
I think it's the right move and measured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will not write a thank you note. I am grateful. If you don't know me well enough to know that I'm grateful that you put time and effort and thought into something,
then don't give me a gift.
Then you don't know me well enough to buy me something.
Exactly. Love that. Yeah. We wrote letters as like, thanks for coming to the wedding. But the theme of the wedding is we're now all married. We are so...
This is a collective marriage.
It was a huge collective marriage. It was the marrying of a village. And at a wedding, you say your vows. So like these letters were our vows to like everyone else.
But you need to be like, thank you for the coffee grinder.
No, screw that.
Yeah.
We are writing a thank you for the coffee grinder.
It was expensive.
Well, and the people who bought us that didn't even come.
But here's what I would do instead of a thank you note too. I would text a picture of us holding coffee to be like,
what a gift.
Love it. Is that not more meaningful? When people buy my kids clothes, I do try and take a picture to be like, here's the sweater that you made. Here's the
cute,
you know. But I am not mailing something. I'm not gonna do it.
Post office still? You're on the wrong side of history, my friend.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And I think the last intentional thing we did was during Sarah and her dad's father-daughter dance, we cut in the Michigan fight song, and everyone who went to school with Sarah, I gave them the task of losing their minds when that happened. And they delivered, and everyone sang to Larry, and we played the Michigan game at the wedding for her dad.
Yeah, and they did win for them and because of them.
Yeah.
So that's also cool when the universe is like bends towards justice. And
I agree.
Examples of it.
And this is proof that every cisgender straight man on the Michigan football team, which is all of them,
that we know of,
is an ally.
Preach.
So they brought it home. Go Blue.
Go Blue. I think that's it for the wedding, though. Also, it's just a reminder. I do think what people are going to learn when they leave is that the feeling that they're going to keep with it is we need more of this.
I hope so. Yeah.
And it's not just more weddings, more celebrating love. It's just celebrating the intention that we want to turn towards in our lives.
It was a celebration of meaning.
Meaning making. That's what we want. We want more meaning making. I mean, I had like an hour-long conversation with my friend about it later. And we just talked about ritual and ceremony. And he's like, this is what's missing. And I'm like, this is what's missing.
And especially in like in a ceremony that is one of the few that is still so honored in our society. Like a wedding is a big deal. People travel. It is, there's a lot of pageantry involved. But we've taken something so meaningful and made it really capitalistic and money driven.
Yeah.
And that intention is actually can be lost in planning a wedding because it becomes so burdensome to perform and finance this event.
Yes.
And I think it was a reminder that like, even though we were lucky enough to like have the funds to have this in a beautiful place and like have good food,
amazing.
But like the intention we brought to it cost nothing.
Right.
Net zero.
Yeah.
With incredible emotional gain.
Yeah.
And so the idea that you can bring intention to any event is scary in the fact that earnestness is vulnerable.
Yes. And that's why I'm saying it's like a wedding is one of the few places that it's still allowed. Yeah. But it's very hard to say, I got a promotion. I want to go in the river and I want to like bathe in this transition and be welcomed on the other side.
That can feel embarrassing or too much to ask of people. And it's not. Look at the people may initially react with, oh, that's a little scary.
Yeah.
But then they drop in so quickly because it is what makes people's souls hum.
Yes.
Like, it just feels right to the soul. So if you add some intention to your days, you're a true Gryffindor and lean in.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't think anyone, I just think your whole weekend was the embodiment of stay close. Stay close to your feelings. Stay close to others. What's the other thing?
Your body. Stay close to your body.
Yeah, we love a body.
And stay close to now your 84 new spouses. And
okay. Blessings on your marriage. Many thanks and many returns.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you.
Stay close.
Stay close.
Thanks so much for listening to That's My Therapy. As a general disclaimer, the topics discussed in this podcast are just one unique perspective, not prescriptive mental health advice. May you find healing where it finds you. If you are feeling suicidal or in need of immediate help, you can reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988.
I remember being upstairs when Aaron told you that he was gonna his like backup if he was crying too hard during his speech.
My gosh, so funny.
And Allie, you suck.
I know, I told him to add a part in. Yeah.